What are your thoughts on the hookup culture created by modern dating apps? Well, I can tell you some facts. People in stable monogamous relationships report the highest levels of sexual satisfaction. So that's the first thing to know. The second thing to know, I don't think we've had an intelligent conversation about sexual morality in our culture, probably since the invention of the birth control pill. So that's about 50 years. It's not that surprising because the birth control pill was such a absolutely staggering technological revolution that we'll probably never recover from it. I've often thought that the 20th century will be remembered for three things: hydrogen bomb, birth control pill, transistor. There are three revolutions of incalculable magnitude. And so the fact of reliable birth control, or at least comparatively reliable birth control, has really permanently changed the relationships between men and women and our attitudes towards sexuality in general and all of that. And it'll take God only knows how long till we adapt to that. In the immediate aftermath of the birth control pill, there was the idea that sex could now be decontextualized, I would say. First of all, it could occur in the absence of permanent relationship, let's say, and that would be an okay thing. And that it could also be something that could be done casually for recreation and without guilt. I don't think any of those things are true. I don't think there's any evidence that they're true. I think they're dangerous delusions, actually. I think, hookup culture is predicated on the idea that you can detach sexuality from everything else. Emotions, let's say, responsibility, consideration even, and that basically you can reduce what sexuality is to casual pleasure. And I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can reduce sexuality to casual pleasure without reducing the person that you're having sex with to nothing but the provider of casual pleasure. And I think that whatever you do to someone else, you do to yourself inevitably. Because when you're engaging with someone else, you're engaging with a human being, and you're a human being. And so the manner in which you treat another human being expands to encompass your relationship to yourself. Now, it isn't obvious to me that the most compelling and meaningful and truthful story about what a person is a source of casual sexual pleasure. And I think that if you engage in a string of relationships like that you inevitably come to see people like that. Because how could you not? One of the truths that psychologists have uncovered, there aren't that many of them, but this is one of them. Well, it's hard to uncover truths, is that you tend to justify what you do. And that's something to be very wary of, because perhaps you have your ethical qualms about doing something, but you do it 2 or 3 dozen times, and you can be absolutely certain that as a consequence of doing it that many number of times, that you will now formulate a story that you tell yourself and other people, and will also come to believe about why doing that is not only okay, but good. So let's say you have 50 casual sexual partners. I don't know if there's anything deeper or more profound that you can do with someone else than engage in sex with them. And so if you're willing to take that most profound act and transform it into that most dispensable entity, then that's what you've done to yourself and other people. And I don't think that's a very good idea. I believe that we can't fractionate any lower than the nuclear family without big trouble. I think that people are a lot better off, not necessarily happier, but I don't think happy's the right hallmark of evaluation anyways. I think that people have deeper and more meaningful lives if they commit to a monogamous relationship. That's enforced monogamy, by the way, for those of you that were wondering. A human moral universal, by the way, virtually every culture tends towards the promotion of monogamous social structures, even though that's become an unpopular view among people who knows among who, among people who are looking for, I don't even know what to say about that. It's so absolutely clueless. It's much better for people to commit to something. It deepens their lives and enriches their lives. And it means that you've taken on the responsibility of another person as if they're as much a part of you as you are. And that's actually good for you. It's hard, but it's good for you. You know, and the other thing is, and this is what's so surprising, it's also what people want. You know, if you look at cheap entertainment, let's say, movies, cheap movies, and I'm not denigrating them. There's action movies, right? Those are hero stories. It's one person against the malevolence in the world. That's an action story. And then there's a romance. And the romance is two people painfully isolated find each other and make it work. That's like 90% of movies fall into those two categories. It's like everybody wants deeply, not everyone. The vast majority of people want a stable, reliable, caring, permanent, monogamous relationship. That's their desire. And if you act contrary to that, but that's what you want, then you act contrary to it, and then you won't get it. I think it's only 30% of people under 29 now are in a stable, long-term monogamous relationship. I might be wrong about that. I just read it the other day, but it was some dreadfully low number. I don't think that's good. It looks to me like it means that people aren't growing up as fast as they need to. It means that they're missing out on life, because it's really useful to commit yourself to someone and then to decide to build something stable economically and morally and practically, and to have a platform established so that you can bring children into the world, so that you have life in your life when you're 50 and older, let's say. We're very foolish about such sort of things, and I think trading all that for hookup culture is a big mistake. That's what it looks like to me. So I guess that's the answer to that question.